Everybody, welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR Pick Show. I'm your host, Mega Ruler 31. This week we have Texas, Hook'em Horns, um, Autotrader Echopark Automotive 500, so 334 laps at Texas. So All-Star race was at Texas this year. So I don't think we can really look at that too much because it was just the format of the different stages. It was chopped up into different um, it's an all-star race, so there's like all kinds of gimmicks and themes and stuff, and it's like a bunch of short runs, so nothing like you're going to see here today. And if we learn anything from the Xfinity race, we learn that patience is a virtue. It's very hard to pass here, and you need to have a fast car. So some of these cars should be more on a level playing field, but as you see, like the parts are absolute garbage, and even good teams have part failures coming up. If you look at the Bristol race, was absolute disaster with parts breaking and tires again and cars breaking down and stuff, and it just a mess. So they need longer practice sessions. They need a chance at these tracks and like long run conditions to see how the tires hold up, see how some of these parts hold up, and just to get a handle on this new car, or this is going to be an absolute Titanic and just sink. So hopefully next year NASCAR makes the adjustment and gives them a little bit longer practice time so they can figure it out. But the one thing that we learned from Xfinity is that some of the playoff drivers were getting frustrated that they couldn't pass, and they were getting to the point in stage 3 where they're trying to go 3-4 wide, and it just wasn't working. And there were 2 major accidents to the point where out of the 38 cars in the field, only 21 of them finished the race. So we lost 17 cars from the field there, and some of the cars that did finish race were damaged. So it's hopefully that's not the case here for Cup. So let's look at it. Color code. This is the first race of 3 for this round of the playoffs. So they're down to 12 races. The guys in red are below the cut line currently. The guys in yellow have a slight advantage, less than 10 points. The guys in green have a 10 point or greater advantage currently, but it really doesn't matter. And this is the race that they want to do well, because next week's Talladega, which is such a wild card with having big crashes and things like that, and then they run into the Roval at Indianapolis, and it's a road course but not really a road course, and there could be all kinds of chaos in that also. So here's where you want to try to get the win if you're in the playoffs, and move on and advance, and then you kind of have mulligan if you screw up the next 2. So start at the top. We had and here's the other thing too, is just we have qualifying in 2 groups again, and it just really screws up these cars, because sometimes there's more rubber on the track for the second group, or sometimes the weather changes and the first group was faster because there was more ideal conditions, their second group was faster because there's more ideal conditions. So I just don't get why they do that. So like we'll look at the qualifying here, but we can't always take it as like the word of God that this is why they did so much better. So I think some of the people's times were inflated. I didn't sit there and break down, and maybe next week, if I have a little bit more time, if they do 2 groups, I can put like an A or B next to it, so we can kind of like compare that when we talk on the video here. So start at the top, Brad Keselowski coolly got the pole. It's just like nothing really to do this season besides look to next year. And I think they've been trying a lot of things out, and a lot of these teams are out of it, or like testing stuff to try to figure out what they can do for the next season to get this car nailed down a little bit better, to make some adjustments on some of these tracks. So he didn't look bad in practice, 10th fastest. I don't think he's going to stay up here. It's the same thing as Brandon Jones, maybe at least the first 10 laps, but there's so many guys who could overtake him, and I don't think once he gets back in the dirty air, he'll be able to make his way back up. Could he still finish as a top 10? Yes. Is it 68 a bad price? To put him in your lineup? I think he's finding a GPP, because if he does go out and dominate there, but in cash, I just don't see it happening. Joey Logano starts second. He's pretty safe in the playoffs, but I think he might still race for some playoff points. He could get out ahead, but it just seems like Logano's car, if he's in dirty air, also falls back, and Penske cars really haven't had a lot of speed on some of these 1.5 mile tracks. So kind of worries me also, so he's GPP. I think I'm going to start my lineups with William Byron here. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but he seemed really fast in practice, and he just looked really good and really good at this track style. So, and he's starting to really come around back into form, and hopefully returns to the form they had earlier in the season. So I think he's going to be my first prime play, 9,100. I think he gets out there, leads a lot of laps, could potentially win this one. Tyler Reddick, I think, is also GPP. I do like the fact that he could potentially get out there and lead a bunch of laps and have a really good dominating day, second fastest in practice. Both Childers cars were really fast in practice. He and Austin Dillon. And, he's not in the playoffs anymore. So, really has nothing to lose. So he doesn't have to race for stage points, which bodes well. So he could pit before the end of the stage and get out there and get track position, while everybody else that did stay out does have to go in and pit. So, but his trouble is finishing races. He's like running some walleye, had a lot of mechanical failures, things like that. Not all his fault, but some of it has been. So he's still a GPP for me. Michael McDowell, again, I think he just had a really good qualifying run here, 30th in practice. I just think he's going to be very low, and he's going to be a fade starting this far forward. I don't see him getting out there and leading the race. I don't really even see him finishing potentially in the top 10. So I'm out on him. Chase Elliott, a GPP again, really struggled in practice. He did well here. He's pretty safe, but I think he's still going to try to bank some more stage points and things like that to advance to the next round. I think he'll be able to do it on points, and I think that's what they're looking forward to. Just really hasn't been fast on my own half tracks. And again, to pay off his 10-5, I don't see him going out there and dominating this race. So now don't feel comfortable playing with cash. And he's GPP, potentially fade for me also. I just really I think that their strategy is to survive and advance here. I don't think, again, he gets dominating points, and he'll probably finish in the top 10, but to pay off his salary, I think I really need him to lead. Dillon, like I said, again, was fast in practice with Reddick, but I just don't think that he might stay in the top 10. At 73 is fine, but I would rather, and fine with him at GPP, but I'd rather have somebody else in this price range. I'm not going to take Almirola at 72, but if I can pay 300 more for like Chase Briscoe, who is in the playoffs and starting 30th, then I'll definitely like him over Austin Dillon. Denny Hamlin runs really well here. Usually has a pretty fast car. Only thing that concerns me is he has Kurt Busch's pit crew now, which is supposed to be the most elite one, but I've seen him make mistakes this year. And obviously his engine blew up like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So I mean, I don't think it's like, I think it's just the pit crew. I mean, I don't think it's like the whole crew like building the engines and stuff, but I don't know. Just saw some issues with these Gibb cars. I think he's a fine cash play. I think he potentially could get up and lead, but I don't know. Just some of these Gibbs cars just kind of worry me. I think he's fine in cash, but I don't think he's like a lock. I think you got to make a choice if you're going to play a 10K guy, and I think with this, you could potentially get a couple in, and there's some punts down below that definitely work with this. So I will have some Hamlin in my lineups, but I'm not saying he's a priority. Larson, on the other hand, he did well in the All-Star race. He has tire issues, and this is a tire wear track where there's some fall off. So hopefully they get the right pressure in so he's not blowing them. But this looks like a race that Kyle Larson could get up there and dominate and do well. So if you think that's the case, then put him in your cash lineup. Same thing as Hamlin. Like, I wouldn't play both of them together. I'd just play one or the other, because just the narrative of, I mean, it is a long race, like I said, 334 laps or something like that. So there are a lot of opportunities to lead laps here, and maybe the two of them could share it. But I don't know what the rest of my lineup is going to look like if I put those guys both in. Daniel Suarez still in the playoffs here. Needs to do some work to make it to the next round. Trackhouse, I'm not really worried about practice, because they do a really good job with practice, trying to dial cars in. So he just hasn't had the speed he has had recently. So I think he's fine in GPP, but I don't think I'm going to be playing him in cash. Austin Cindric looked horrible in practice. I don't know how he qualified this well. He's still in the playoffs too, but I don't think he's going to make it any further. So, and again, I think they'd be racing for stage points and not for necessarily for the win here, or do they have the upside to get the win? So I use a fade. If you want them GPP 150 max, I'm fine with that, but I'm just not really interested. Ross Chastain, on the other hand, I am. I like him better, even though he went on the heater there and then he cooled off a little bit. But I think this is a chance for him. He's been solid in the playoffs. 13th in practice, 12th qualifying here. So I think he's a cash play at 92. He has a little bit more place differential, and I think about the same upside as like Larson and Hamlin, but saves you like $1,500, and I think that's huge for helping the bottom of your lineup come up. Chris Buescher, congratulations. You won last week. I don't really see him winning this week. It's not his type or style of track. I mean, practice and qualifying are close together. So I think could he finish in the top 20? Yes. Do I think he's going to advance or like do anything special here? No. So low ownership, perfect in GPPs, but I'm not super interested. Ryan Blaney, I think, is going to be chalk here. He won the race, the All-Star race. But again, that was like short run. It just seems like Blaney, once he has trouble getting up through the field, like his practice speeds are okay. Qualifying 14th, I did maybe some pit strategies and stuff can get him out there and get him in clean air. But if anybody gets past him, he just starts falling like a rock. So he'll definitely finish in the top 15, and there is some upside here, but I like some of my other plays so much I'll be underweight on him as opposed to the field. Martin Truex Jr., they probably stripped everything good off of his team to give to Bell and to Hamlin to help them win the championship. So I think he's just kind of out there for the ride. He'd love to play spoilers, not the greatest track for him. He was average in practice and qualified, 15th. So GPP sprinkle him a little bit. That's about all I have for him. Ty Gibbs, I think he's a fade. I mean, he ran the Xfinity race here in this 2311 car. He just really hasn't super impressed me coming up to the Cup, and I think he might even struggle next year if he does get a permanent ride here. I think he still needs some more time in Xfinity and some more time to figure this car out. He just hasn't. So I'm fading him, starting a little too far forward here for me. And I think he finishes in the top 25, but I don't know if he finishes in the top 15. Alex Bowman, really like this in my next prime play here. Third in practice, just qualified in like the slower group, I believe. So, but he has a lot of upside. He did really well at Kansas. That's a very comparable track. So I think that this is a excellent opportunity for him to move up. Their place differential could even potentially win this race, could lead laps here. 84 is a great price tag. So locking in those two Hendricks cars together in my cash lineup tomorrow. Kyle Busch, 10,000 GPP here. They've taken everything out of his team, just like Truex. Like there's nothing left here. I know he's running mad. I know he wants to play spoiler. Even for testing this, really, he's not driving Toyota for this team. There's really nothing for him to do but race for pride. So his practice speeds were okay. Just starting here at 18th. I just hope that there's not another engine failure here, but he used to be the first guy in my GPPs, but he's a GPP to fade. He's not even in my main GPP line, to be honest with you. So if you think this something special is going to happen here, there's going to be lightning in the bottle and he's going to be able to have a good race, then fine, by all means, play him. But if not, I don't blame you. Bubba Wallace, he won Kansas. He's good at this type of track. 8th in practice, slower qualifying group. So I think definitely he's a cash play at 86 and somebody that he's kind of a no man's land with pricing here. So I don't know if he works in your build, but if I'm not saying try to jam him in, but if you can make it work, then I'm fine with that. Harrison Burton and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both here in 6'6" and 5'6". I think, both were in the top 15 in practice times. I think they're both solid cash plays. I know both of them have had their issues this year. Obviously, the Wood Brother car just doesn't look like it has in the past. I think Matt DiBenedetto, it was a complete injustice to get rid of him. I think he was a much better driver and had this car in a much better position than Harrison Burton has. He needed to spend a little bit more time in Xfinity. I don't think he'll drop down next year. I think he'll another chance, but he just needs to know there's some really good Xfinity drivers that come to take his place. So he needs to get his act together. He's going to end up down there like Hemrick got booted and sent back down, or Di Benedetto got sent back, down. He's actually in the Truck Series now. Stenhouse, like he's started off the season strong and just really faded, but he does well at this type of track. He's raced well at Texas in the past, so I think he's fine here too. Christopher Bell, I think this will be another popular play, and if I'm playing a 10K guy, like I said, he's the one that I would look at with the place differential here. Came off the truck slow, but I think they'll make the adjustments and stuff. There's only 2 Gibbs cars left, and there's so many resources they can throw at him. They'll have this car figured out, tuned up, ready to go. He will definitely advance. Great place differential play, probably get up in the top 10, could potentially even lead laps. He's in the playoffs, has some work to do, so they'll have to figure out how to get him up there so that they don't want to depend on Talladega or the Roval for him to advance in the playoffs. And it's very important for a large team like Gibbs to have these guys continue to advance. So like a lot of things about Christopher Bell, and I'll be playing a good amount of him tomorrow. Kevin Harvick, he does have the speed here, and he is decent. 87 is a little bit expensive. I'd rather take Bubba Wallace for $100 more, just seeing what he's done on this type of track recently. So GPP probably have low ownership, and probably have something will probably go wrong with the car. We'll probably have another epic post race interview with him. They've just been outstanding, so you can watch some of them on Twitter or YouTube. It's well worth the time. But he's right though, these parts are bad. They are causing safety issues, and NASCAR is kind of turning a blind eye to some of the stuff in the feedback. And but hopefully more and more of the drivers start all talking about it, the more and more that we don't want to see anybody get seriously injured here. Cole Custer, not interested, and I think he's just testing. It's just weird. All 3 Stewart Haas cars are like all qualifying like in a clump here. So none of the cars look good here. So Custer and Almirola, GPP to fade also. Noah Gragson, he won again, 4 in a row in Xfinity. This car's a lot different. The car he drives there, it's not Junior Motorsports, it's a Cully car. It doesn't really have as much speed, so I think he's fine in GPP at 5,900, but I don't have a ton of interest in. I may try to sprinkle him in a couple lineups. Eric Jones, love this play. He got loose in qualifying, so he didn't qualify well, but he was blazing fast in practice, 5th fastest. Has some speed here, looking good, trying to build upon this season to get some momentum for next year. So lock him in, 3rd prime play, $8,000. So the prime plays I'm giving you are 91, 84, and 8,000. These are solid mid-range plays. You can get a 10K guy in like Bell. You can get some other value plays in and have a really nice lineup for you. Todd Gillian, 5K. I'm okay. He's been okay here also. Don't expect a ton, probably about a top 25, move about 3 spots, but that's all you really need at 5K. Corey LaJoie, a fade. I just don't think he looks really good here. Chase Briscoe, I like this play. I know he's 75, but this car is in the playoffs, and it's a much better car, and everything from Stewart Haas still being the only car in the playoffs. All the resources are going into this car. He will figure it out. He should be better in this. He should make it up to at least the top 20. So that gives you 10 place differential points. So 7,500, that's not bad. I really like Chase Briscoe, and I kind of debated between he and Jones for the final core play. Jones obviously got it, so definitely somebody I like in my lineups also tomorrow. Haley and Dylan, I think these will be other chalk pieces. So if you're trying to get like Bell, Hamlin, or Larson, like if you're trying to get like 2 of the 3 of those, this is how you can do it. You play Haley and Dylan. I think I like Dylan better. He seems to have more speed here than Haley, but Haley just is just kind of a solid play this year. Like you just plug him in at like whatever 5K price tag he has, and he doesn't do anything great, but he's not the first guy out of the race. And he's always going to finish ahead of like LaJoie or Smithley, McLeod, Cassell, Ware. Maybe there's some rare case that they do get ahead of him, but he's going to beat at least 5 cars week after week. He's going to at least finish where he starts at 5,700. Even if he has a miserable race, he only loses you. He loses 5 DK points here, but he automatically gets 4 DK points for starting the race. So the worst he can do is a -1. So at 5,700 to get a -1, that's fine. I'd rather take that than Michael McDowell or Brad Keselowski at 68. If he wrecks, he could get like a negative 36 points here. Even if he let a couple laps, it's going to negate that very quickly. So the rest of these guys, not super interested in. Smithley, I think he would be a GPP play. He did run the Xfinity race today, but had a little bit of trouble there. I don't think it was his fault. He was running well before. I think he got wrecked. And then McLeod, Cassell, and Ware, just not interested in these cars. These cars are slower. I don't even know if they're going to be able to stay on the lead lap. Mechanical failures, just so many things could go wrong. So, like I said here, Byron, Bowman, Jones is a good starting point if you want to fade Jones and go with Briscoe. I'm fine with that. If you want somebody that's in the playoffs, then looking at like these 10K guys to plug in next, like Christopher Bell, Hamlin, or Larson, and I'll fill up my lineup with one of these other cash plays that go in there. And then I think for GPPs, I'm going to start with some of these guys up top that I just cast off that have concern. So maybe Logano, Reddick, Blaney would probably be like my core for GPP. Don't forget about Bubba Wallace, a solid play there. So lots of ways to go. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. You can hit me up at Twitter, Megaruler31. If these videos help you out, you can please like them so like more people can see them on their feed and get introduced to us so we can help. That's what we're here to help people like do well at fantasy NASCAR. And thanks for watching this deep into the season. I know NFL football's here, so many other things going on in fall, back to school stuff, college football. So appreciate you watching. So, please subscribe to our channel so you know our videos are coming out. And if you want more information on FSIDFS and all the things that we're covering from NFL to college football to, we're still doing PGA swing season, yearly basketball I'll be covering. That should be coming up. I confirmed with DK around October 6th. Major League Baseball is wrapping up. We got the playoffs there. NHL, McKinley just started preseason for that. That will be coming up soon. NBA, it's like so many things that we're covering for very, very affordable prices. And there's a lot of things that we cover for free. So just join the site, join the Discord, and just come in and see what's going on. Tons of cool stuff there for you. So thanks again for watching. I'm Megaruler31. Good luck in your contest. Have a safe weekend, and I will see you next time.